Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello and welcome to another live version of the Hoosier Football Tailgate here on the Believe Network. I am the coach, Shannon Griffith. I thank you for joining me here this evening as the Hoosiers come out with a dominating win over the Charlotte 49ers, 52-14 this past Saturday there in Bloomington, as it was another dominant win for Indiana from start to finish. Maybe a few moments there in the first half where there some mental lapses here and there with some of the things that happened that led to scores and things of that nature. But overall, a very productive performance for Indiana, moving to the first time ever. And I think for, in some cases, over 100 years that an IU team has finished 4-0 with it at Indiana, in the sense that Coach Cig has been able to get this program off to a great start. That's a testament to the players. That's a testament to the coaches and what they've been able to do thus far on the season. And it's just been something that thus far, watching it from the vantage point as fans are, you couldn't be any excited than the fact that Indiana has done something that very few, if any, has seen over the last decade plus happen with a 4-0 start. Now, we can temper that with the fact that Indiana's schedule has set up nicely for them, and it's worked in a sense that, you know, their schedule with 8 home games, 3 out of the first 4 at home. You know, you can go right down the line on all that. But at the end of the day, you play what's in front of you. And that's what Indiana's been able to do thus far at the start of this year. So take nothing away from the kids or the coaches. They've prepared diligently. They've prepared to come to work every Saturday, and they've done so in a way that has lend itself to that start that they're off to. But at the end of the day, you got to understand that in some respects, with everything that Indiana has done, is benefited from the standpoint you've played an FIU team that's won 1 game. Western Illinois, I don't think, has won any at this point. And UCLA's won 1. Now, they gave UCLA a pretty decent game this past weekend. But at the end of the day, UCLA has not developed to the team that they are, and they've only won their first game of the year. And then when you look at Charlotte, same thing. So a combined 4 wins of the teams that Indiana's played to date. And like I said, I'm not trying to sit here and make excuses for the reasons why the Hoosiers are 4-0. I'm just simply trying to set the example that Indiana has benefited from the teams that they've played to date, and they haven't played an overwhelming schedule thus far. That's going to change real quick. But first, let's do some business here with Bet Online. Bet Online's the #1 streaming website out there for all things sports wagering, from everything from Major League Baseball with the pennant races getting ready to start, NFL football, and as always, college football. Everything from A to Z is right at your fingertips. whether it's on a desktop or a mobile device. You can get there by going to betonline.ag. Remember the NFL fantasy or NFL potluck that they've got going on as it pertains to a pretty good prize for their pick'em contest that they got going on as well. But everything from spreads, statistics, right into the live game itself, all the exotic wagers. And then, of course, if that doesn't fulfill you, then you can step into the casino, the online casino there at BetOnline, and take a shot at blackjack or poker. And of course, the one of over 150 different slot machines. Remember, BetOnline is where the game starts here. And also remember, our affiliates have joined Hoosier Football Tailgate. You can get all that information on our bio page. At the link tree there, hit the shop button, and it will take you to all those. And remember, if you would purchase something from those, we will get a small percentage of that sale in the form of a commission. But to be upfront and totally honest, I just wanted to make sure that is communicated, but we do appreciate you if you happen to do that. Now that we get all that way out of the way, let's talk about the Hoosiers and their big win this past weekend with the over the Charlotte 49ers. Like I said, it's a game that for the most part, it got close there within the first couple quarters there. It was 17-14 at one time. Indiana having taken their opening drive down the field and scored after the defense went 3 and out. There was some times there where in that first half, the defense surrendering those 14 points, which was by far the most they had given up to date. In that first half especially, but they came back in the second half and basically shut them out the rest of the way. So you can't be overly disappointed there. There are a couple things in the first half that I thought Charlotte did a very good job. The coordinator there for Charlotte did a nice job in how he set up things offensively with some different sets of motions and things of that nature to maybe get Indiana guessing and not coming off and being a little hesitant. That led to some big plays from behind at the line of scrimmage and a couple throws. But overall, that game was decided there right before half when Indiana's defense, I believe that they stopped a Charlotte on a drive there prior to halftime, and Indiana went down and scored like in 4 plays, and that put them up. I think it was 31-14 at that point, or I'm sorry, 24-14 at that point. And then Indiana took the opening kickoff and went down the field and scored right there at the beginning of the second half. So that in itself basically took Charlotte completely out of the game and led to a very good outing for the Indiana offense, once again putting up 50-plus points. And doing so with over 500 yards of offense. Curtis Rourke, again, another phenomenal day. We're going to take a look at statistics here in a moment, but just overall, you can't be too disappointed on that afternoon game there against Charlotte. And like I said, let's put it all in perspective. They're 4-0. And that's the good part of it all. You play the schedule that's in front of you, regardless of who you're playing. But you also have to be realistic and understand that the teams that Indiana's played has only won 4 games to date. And that's all going to change when Maryland comes to town as we start getting back into total Big Ten play from here on out. And this, by far, Maryland, by far will be the best team that they have faced on both sides of the ball. Quarterback, receiver, and on defense. A team that really took it to Indiana last year in Maryland. And it's going to be a game that is going to have to be pretty spot on for the Hoosiers to come away victorious there at home. And it's an opportunity, again, to one step closer to getting that 5-0 and then potentially 6-0 after they play Northwestern prior to having a week off before Nebraska comes to town, they just lost this past weekend to Illinois in overtime in Nebraska Big win for the Illini. And Altmaier, the quarterback, was phenomenal against Nebraska. So a lot of things happening in and around the Big Ten as it pertains to the schedule and how it's shaping up. And then you've got the situation now that Big Ten conference games are going to be full throttle here from about this week all the way through the season. So you get into a lot of the big things. So that's the big thing of it all that Indiana's got, coming up on the schedule with Maryland coming to town. And I agree there, Mr. Fat Boy 44. Let's pack the stadium and help the Hoosiers win. Absolutely. Very good suggestion there for everybody that's, got a game this Saturday that I think in a lot of respects, Indiana, I think, has already opened a favorite by 8 points, if I'm not mistaken, something to that effect. So we'll see what happens with all that. Going to talk about Maryland on Thursday. We'll give a robust scouting report, A to Z, what to expect from them on Saturday. But both offense and defense are going to be the best that Indiana's seen to date in their schedule, and it's only going to get tougher from here on out. So no place to hide, no place to run, just a chance for the Indiana Hoosiers to, again, get prepared one game at a time and have an opportunity to step one step closer to that magical 6-win mark, which is the magic number for bowl eligibility. And they're a lot closer today than they were at any point a year ago. So let's take a look here at kind of the tail of the tape from Saturday with Indiana. And let's see if I can pull some of this up here. Okay. If you look at the statistics from Saturday, it's a game that Indiana, like I said, thoroughly dominated. First downs, no question there. Indiana only, I think, had one true penalty, no penalties on offense, so a much improved game from their game against UCLA. Yards rushing, another 200-yard plus performance. And then, of course, net passing, they had over 288 yards. And it was nice to see that Taven Jackson got some meaningful minutes there in the third and fourth quarter. And then the total offense, as you can see, 510 to 256, a 7.5 to 4.6 margin when it came to total yardage. And there just wasn't any comparison there on the day. Then you get down to some of the more meaningful stats. Again, there were no turnovers by either club, for that matter, Saturday. And so Indiana didn't make up any ground or lose any ground. But when you look at the third down percentages, Indiana 4 of 10 for 40% on the day, 2 or 3 on fourth down. Did well in the red zone when it came, came time for them to put the ball in the end zone. They had the one drive there. I think that was their second drive of the game, where they kind of got behind the sticks a little bit and ended up settling for a field goal. We'll go over that drive here in a second when we get to the video room. But again, reminder, if you got a question, by all means, put it into the chat. I'll definitely try to answer all questions and all that. So we'll try to get those answered if you've got something to say with that. But yeah, again, Jackson is definitely a natural fit quarterback. And again, like I've said with him all along, is that his strength is going to be that he's still a young quarterback in the scheme and also in his years in terms of experience. He's only going to get better with growth within the system under Tino, under Mike Shanahan as the offensive coordinator, as well as having a guy like Curtis O'Rourke around him as well. So it's all going to be beneficial for Taven in that matter. But again, offensively speaking, and then you get into, Aiden Fisher, another great game that kid had. Of course, Alsbury had a tremendous game. He had one TFL, and then Farrell had another TFL. And I'm trying to get to, I thought we had at least 3 sacks, but I can't remember. We didn't have any sacks. That's right. We didn't have any sacks Saturday. So that kind of spelled that aspect of it all. And then when you look at the field position and the time of possession, not much difference in the time of possession, but if you look at Indiana was the average 39 field position where Charlotte was 22. That's a plus 17. That's, if you look at it this way, that is a first down and 3 quarters that Indiana didn't have to worry about driving the football Saturday. And that is a huge, huge advantage when you can have that edge in field position from the standpoint of not having to worry about driving the long field, so to speak, where, Charlotte had their average field position was the 22. So they were faced of having to drive 78 yards for better part of the day. And Indiana had a 60-yard total drive with the field. So when you look at that from that perspective, offenses much better chance of scoring points when they only have 60 yards of drive as opposed to an offense that has over 78 yards to drive. So that's a very beneficial statistic to keep in mind as you go through the year. That is what we call the hidden yardage. That makes a huge difference in a ball game, and it's what gives you a better chance to put points on the board if you're consistently driving a short field and you're forcing the defense to have to drive a long field in that regard. And that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind with all that. So good to see on both ends of the equation. I was trying to see here. There was something that, and maybe I already looked at it and threw it out because it didn't matter. Oh, just some individual statistics. I kind of went by this too fast. Rourke, like I said, a great day, 16 of 20, 258, a touchdown. Long pass of 39 yards. Taven was 2 of 7 for 30. And then Ellison and Black both had a net of 58, 55. And then if you look at the next two, 35, 32, and the number of carries that they're getting, it's pretty well distributed between 3 or 4 guys out there. Even Curtis got into the rushing category this past week, did a better job of taking off when he had the opportunity to get positive yardage, or in the one case he actually scored, which is nice to see when he can take advantage of that and not just be a guy that's going to be sitting in the pocket all the time. So he did a great job there. And then in the receiving department, again, Cross, Williams, Price, Surratt all had great ball games. Miles Price, again, 77 yards on the day on 3 receptions. And then a young pup got in there, Sam West. He had 37 yards on the 1 catch because of the Bamba injury. And then if you look, Cooper, Kobe also got in the mix there. It's, again, Indiana's wide receiver room is very deep. It was nice to see that Donovan got in the game, get him back from that injury. And then E.J. Williams got in late as well. It's only going to strengthen the depth of that room because those two present mismatch problems, especially when you get in the red zone. Those guys are tall and lanky, and their catch radius is dominant when you talk about matchups on the outside. But very good. And then if you look at even Charlotte's statistics, they average 4.2 a carry, only 137 yards. Their quarterback, Trexler, 14 of 23, not a bad day, 119 yards with 1 touchdown. And receiving wise, had, again, 119 total. Yards after catch, 71. So you can see there that there were some big explosive plays that were probably too many on the day, honestly, from the defense. While they never overly capitalized on some of their explosives, you can't, give up cheap yardage in any facet, whether it be the run game or pass game in that regard. And if you look at Indiana's yards after catch, you can see what I mean. 112 yards after catch. And again, thoroughly dominated day by Indiana from start to finish. There's nothing you can say better than the fact that Indiana did what they needed to do. They never really gave them hope after that first couple scores and started driving the nails in the coffin of the 49ers there midpoint through the second quarter into the halftime and then coming out at halftime. So overall, good, solid performance. Going to face a better team this week as opposed to what they did this week with Maryland coming to town on Saturday. And all things being equal, by far the best team that they're going to play this coming year up on the schedule this weekend from the standpoint of Indiana and Maryland. Two teams very similar in wins and losses. No, Maryland's lost a game, but we'll have to wait and see. It's just going to have to be a game that ultimately is going to come down to the ability to run the football and also can Indiana continue its onslaught offensively with putting points on the board and the defense still being able to make teams one-dimensional. But like I said, we'll cover that on Thursday in the preview show, a good scouting report for against Maryland. A couple games that I've watched have been their game against Virginia, which was last Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, which was a good ball game. And then their Michigan State game. That's the game they lost in a tight ball game. And Michigan State's a pretty good team. They've got a young quarterback as well that can sling it. And they went into Maryland and got a big W there in Maryland. And then Maryland turned right around and went into Virginia, who had been on a pretty hot streak, and got a big W there. So fully capable football team, good coaches, good players. We'll talk about it. Just like Indiana has good coaches, good players. But A to Z, it's going to be more of a true matchup in the Big Ten come Saturday afternoon. But other than that, statistic-wise, I think everything went well. I think the Hoosiers came out of the game pretty well in the injury department. I don't think there was any major injuries from Saturday from what I can understand, and haven't seen anything that would change my mind with that other than some normal bumps and bruises, of course. But overall, just a tremendous game for the Hoosiers. Let's step over into the coach's room, and I'm going to show Indiana's offense first in this one. As it loads up here, it's taking some time to load up, of course. But okay. Yeah, let's get this thing up and running here. All right. First drive of the game for Indiana. They showed some things that they hadn't shown. They go from a bunch into a more traditional set, bunch left. And what I want you to watch here is I want you guys to watch our man here, Mr. Horton. Watch 44 and what he does on this play from a blocking standpoint, because it's pretty darn good. He turns up in there. This is a counter play, guard pulling, and they don't pull the tackle on this, so it's still a true counter, but you're pulling the tight end. Good job here by Surratt, not letting the guy cross his face. Good kick out there. And then watch that form. Look at this form fit by this tight end, Horton. That's just textbook. You can't draw it up any better than that. Exploding and then driving and getting zealous in a big first play gain there from the line of scrimmage. Again, another 1st and 10. This is a good play here by Curtis. he's theoretically reading, let's see here. Let's try that again. He's going to read this guy here. So if that guy kind of tinkles in a little bit like that, and he steps in, he's eyeing him because they're running inside zone here. And then he's got his true one-on-one up here at the top. Whoops. As I'm screwing everything up, I've got arrows going everywhere. Let's go back. But you can see right there, one-on-one into the boundaries, your easiest throw of the day. And he did a nice job on that one. Okay, this is a 2nd and 4 on that first drive. Again, a little bit of option to either give it on the, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. He has the option here of handing it off or throwing it. And he decides to hand it off, and they get a big run by Ellison up the middle on that one. So you can see, good job there by Curtis looking for the run because he didn't like what he saw on the pass aspect of it. Here's 2nd and goal. Again, a little motion just to get the defense to move. And this is their 2nd drive. Now, why did I put these in here? Because this is what I want you to see from Curtis and why he's such a good quarterback. Okay. We're going to get a little bit of a nod and go here. And I think that's Surratt, but I'm not positive on this one. But it's not there for him. So what Curtis does, instead of holding onto the football, he throws it out of the back of the end zone, line up the next down. This is an experienced quarterback. He doesn't want to take a sack, and he gets it in a position where no one can get it. All right, so we come back, and it's 3rd and goal. Now this time they go trips, and they're going to look for a route that they run pretty traditionally down in the end zone. And again, what Curtis does is really smart. Is he's looking for the bender, the second guy here in this route. And he's got Surratt. Surratt's rounding it a little bit too much for my liking. I'd like to see him break it off a little bit, stem this guy out a little bit and buy some room, but not too bad. But again, there's nothing there. And so rather than take a chance of throwing a pick, he's giving them a best option to get 3 points. And that's got to be in every mind of every quarterback when you're down in a position in the field where you know you can get 3 points and not have to worry about potentially giving up a pick or a missed opportunity to get 3. So, you're at 10-7 now. Here they go a little bit of look on 3rd and 3. And, he's feeling some threat here as it pertains to the contour of the secondary. You've got a single high safety. That tells you potentially you got one-on-one, which he does. And so now it's about where does he want to go with the football? Well, he wants to take it all the way on the outside because this is where he feels he's got his best option to go one-on-one deep. And he hits Price down the sideline for a huge play on 3rd and 3, then 1st and 10 on this one here. And again, this is back-to-back plays. Again, man for man, he's going to take the shot. He likes his man matchup with Surratt on top, and they get it down to the 3. So 2 plays covering probably about 40, 50 yards and gives them that big score right there. And then here's another drive. Again, Charlotte, for the most part here, playing pretty base. This is the throw to the young pup. This is just a little play action after going from explosion or a wide set to a tight set. He's going to hit West here on a little wheel route, and they don't cover him. And they're rolling the wrong way. And this is what you teach the quarterback. And this is why I always taught them is they're going to roll. This guy's going to roll here. He's going to roll down, bail, and bail. And he's essentially going one-on-one, throw away from the roll. He's going to get him right there down the sideline for a huge play. And you can't draw it up any better than this. So let's see what all happens here. Whoops. And Wes gets this big play down the sideline. And first career catch for him, and he gets it down the sideline and lays out a little punishment on the way. So that's pretty nice there. And this right here, they had scored on that drive. This is the drive where they got the ball back because their defense went three and out. They're in a kind of a hurry up tempo in this segment here. And again, this is the play that they had come back to later. Again, this is kind of like what we call this guy. He'd be the H designation and what I used to call him, the H receiver. But watch his route. He's going to come in here. Oh, let's put the pin on there, dummy. He's going to come in here and kind of nod and then go. And there's nothing between him and the goalpost. So he knocks his head on the goalpost, and that was a huge get. And then this drive here was the one right after halftime that they came out and got an immediate touchdown off of that one. So let's go over here to the defense and watch a couple of their plays. First drive of the game, 3rd and 7 here. Again, you can see third down and conversions wasn't great on the year. Indiana in a little bit of a funky front. They give them a lot of flexibility on how to line up. You can see here, you got 2 wide guys, and, they give them a pretty much freedom where to line up, but they just got to know what gaps they occupy. So, again, whatever they can do to confuse, this is a great open field tackle to keep it from being a first down. Here's a 2nd and 6 scenario here, and this was a great play on the screen because they kind of had this set up. Their O-linemen are a little late, and defense does a great job here of really covering this when you really think of the number of defenders that they're going to have at the point of attack here, and they're going to make a great play right there and only yield about a yard or 2. And this is the last play of the first quarter. Indiana's up 10-7. It's 10-0. This is just a great call at the right time, and they caught Indiana. That's all it was here. Hold on here. They're going to run a reverse. They do a great job of getting the flow of Indiana. And right there, they're in trouble because they got too many guys on the other side. And they do a good job of finally forcing the guy back inside where his buddies can come get him, but they get it all the way down to about the 7-yard line. And then they took a little bit to get it in here. There was a great play by Jones, and then I think this is the touchdown on 3rd and goal, if I think I'm correct. No, this is the run that runs it in. They got called for a holding, and so it moved it back here after they had scored. And another great call. You can see Indiana's anticipating a throw by the structure of their defense. They're kind of playing a shell. 3-man rush, going to probably drop 8 here, and they hand it off, and he splits them and gets a big touchdown. Sometimes you just got to tip your hat to the defense or the offense and let them know that they did, they got you on that one. So 17-7, and here's the one that Indiana really kind of wish they would have back. Good job by the quarterback, Ivy, on this one. again, he avoids the rush. He gets, he steps up there, and then this receiver is going to get open over the top. This guy here. Oops, let's do that. This guy right there is going to get open over the top. He hits him in the hole for a big play. And this was the part of the game where Indiana surrendered some big plays and such. Now, this is another one. I think this is the touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. They go to a wide set, again, kind of a shell. I think this is the one they're going to get this guy right here in the post route, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he does a good job throwing and catching. The too high, you're susceptible to that type of post, and that's what happens. Now, here's the play that Indiana gets right before half to go up 31 to 14, I believe. This is a big third down play for them. And, they had played suspect there. They're going to go man free here, do some twisting. And this is just a good break on the ball there. And that was the young man that stepped in for Pons that does this play here. Does a great job, and boom. So overall, you can see that Indiana as a whole in this ball game really did a nice job after they settled down on defense there of getting the thing under control and getting and really establishing themselves as a football unit. Once everything got settled down and they kind of get an idea defensively of what they were trying to do and how they were trying to attack them. I know the defensive coaches did not particularly care for the first half play of the defense, and I think they let them know that at halftime, and then they came out in the second half and just shut it down and gave Charlotte no hope whatsoever. And that's what good teams do. You come out after you make adjustments, you shut them down, you get the ball in the offensive hands, and then the offense goes right down the field after the defense after the offense goes down the field and scores. The defense comes back out in that second half drive, gets another 3 and out, gets the ball back in the offense's hands, and by then it's ball game over. And so again, proud of the fact that they're 4-0, proud of the fact that Coach Cignetti has done something that too far in between coaches have ever done, being 4-0 in his first year as the coach of Indiana. But at the same time, recognizing that the teams that they've played thus far, FIU, UCLA, Western Illinois, and Charlotte, I think, have combined to win 3 or 4 games to date. So that's not a great tough schedule in that regard, and that's probably why Indiana maybe not garnering a top 25 ranking at the moment because of that schedule as a whole. So we'll have to wait and see what happens this Wednesday or this Saturday with Maryland. And again, you're going to see 2 teams that are very similar in talent, very similar in what they have at all the skilled positions, including the defense. And if there's one thing that Indiana probably holds a pretty good advantage on is in the defensive category in terms of points scored. They're one of the tops in the country, as well as their offense in total yards. But that all changes. Throw everything you know about statistics out the window. You're back in the Big Ten. Everybody is essentially back to square one, and we'll find out what Indiana has for the Terrapins on Saturday, and they owe them one for a pretty good shellacking a year ago down there in Maryland. So, but I want to thank you for joining me here tonight again on a Monday Night Live stream. And remember, if you can, head on over to our affiliates and see if there's something there that you may like to get. And also head over to our website as well, Hoosier Tailgate.com. That's HoosierTailgate.com. They have all the information there for all the affiliates, as well as all the links to the different podcasts and all the videos that we have. And at the end of the day, I appreciate you for all that. And well, I guess you could say that's somewhat true of Ohio State and what they've played to date. And you can't always disregard it. But I think Indiana's a little bit more to prove than Ohio State does. But at the same time, it's like I say, you can't, all you have control over when you're playing these games is who's in front of you. The schedule's made out years and years in advance. Coach Cig had no say in it. He is the, in this case, the benefactor of the schedule as is. And the fact that they're 4-0 is the fact that they've gone into 4 different teams and they've won the game. And that's what you're supposed to do, irregardless of the talent level, irregardless of where, when, and how. And all you can do is one at a time and see what falls and see what happens this week against Maryland. But again, like I said, head on over to the website, HoosierTailgate.com, for all your information there. If you need links to everything, remember you can download on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you head over there, by all means, give us a rating and a follow on the podcast as well, because if you need something to listen to prior to a game or on your way to a game or however you want to do it, traveling for business, that's where you can get the audio aspect only of the podcast. And then, of course, you can get us on YouTube for all the archives, as well as every week's broadcast is there for you to pick up and watch. Or if you're having a chance to watch it on Facebook and Twitter or X, by all means, you can find them there. I know I'm having some issues with my Twitter feed as it pertains to getting a broadcast there, so I've got to look into a few things on that. But there's plenty of other areas for you to watch it, and I will make sure that you have links to everything you need to catch the Hoosier Football Tailgate. Well, I appreciate again for being here with me tonight. I'll see you on Thursday at 7:30, where we'll take a good hard look at the Maryland Terrapins and see what they bring to Bingtown next Saturday for this big Big Ten matchup for Indiana. But until then, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith, and you've been watching the Hoosier Football Tailgate right here on Believe.